there's no actual title system, right? We are indicating our opinion on beginner to intermediate for the sake of, if you are past that point, what we cover today is probably stuff you'll already know. But we had a couple people that have come through the last, the last two talk shows that have asked a lot of questions, and so we want to answer those questions.
Correct. So to go with exactly what you're saying is, I see us eventually over the next couple of months, because we do this once a month or whatever for our talk show based on our schedules and things of the sort. I see us doing one more where it's going to be uh, intermediate into advanced. Uh, Again, tips and tricks, but also probably another one that will revolve around the health based balancing aspect of streaming. There's a couple of more topics that we'll kind of touch on today, but we're not going to go super deep into any of those ones, only because again our emphasis for today is beginning streaming into intermediate, where some of you already are covered in that department. You've
Right.
gone to different panels, be it at TwitchCon or watched it on the TwitchCon feeds, and or you yourself have just experienced it through enough of your own streaming and attempts, trials, and errors, where maybe it's just a refresher.
Awesome. So I think the best starting point is the starting point. Where do you start as a streamer? How do you get started?
Great.
So for me, so one debate that I have frequently with people, I wouldn't even really call it a debate, but a lot of people will tell you to kind of establish what you're streaming for.
Okay.
And what
Give
I
us a
mean
little
by
more
that
context.
is, why do you do it, in a sense of, do you do it to build a community? Do you do it just for fun? Do you do it because you have extra time? Do you do it because you want to turn it into something more serious? Do you I am on the side of the argument that that is important, knowing kind of what you want out of it, because you get out what you put in, right?
Hmm.
If you put in 1 day a month and you're upset that you're not really rolling, you might have priorities in the wrong spot. Um,
Or at least just your perspective is
yeah,
jaded.
yeah. Um, and I would say it's the same as YouTube, in a sense that you can't upload your first video on YouTube and expect 1 million views, and it monetized you and you can be a full-time YouTuber. It just doesn't work like that. You've got to build. You've got to
Hmm.
build. So, what comes first, General? In your mind, what comes first, as
You
far as
mean the Luxin or the egg?
the Luxin is the answer? By the way,
Okay,
um,
okay. So you're saying, what do I think should come first based off what you were um, leading up into with all that
right,
information? Okay, so what I feel comes first is, why the heck do you want to make content? Not even Twitch, right? Because Twitch is its own platform where there's a ton of other platforms that you could create content on. Why are you on Twitch? What is your driving force? Is it because you're creating friendships? Is it because you just want to play games and have other people experience what you experience? Kind of how my feeling was, is the good moments and the bad. When I started streaming, I was bad. If it was any game that was not chess, or no, just really chess. Everything else I was bad at, even my retro gaming, because I hadn't played uh, all those games or those styles of games for years upon years. Or if I did, it was like, once every 6 to 12 months kind of thing. You'd kind of fit a game like, oh, I haven't played Final Fantasy in forever. Well, Final Fantasy didn't take much skill set if you're casually playing it, right? It was, did you understand how the mechanics of the game worked? Well, that's
right,
pretty easy compared to, let's say, doing something like a platformer, where if you miss the jump over and over again, you keep on dying,
or speed
and that
running,
can get frustrating. So, and not even doing speed running, just
right,
doing casual play. So why are you choosing Twitch as your platform? What's your driving force behind that? That's the first and most important thing.
So, um, I chose Twitch personally, just
Mhm.
to get some examples here.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I chose Twitch personally. It's actually I was kind of not late to the party. I've been on Twitch for a little over 4 years, but I was brought to Twitch, the website, as a viewer. Back when I first started playing League of Legends, my buddies used to, watch the competitive pros, and I had never heard of the website, and I started using it solely to watch those people, so that I could get better at the game and learn something. And from there, I started exploring the website kind of on my own, and I started finding other people that played League that weren't pros that I liked hanging out with. I was on Twitch for probably 2 years, and maybe maybe a little less than a year and a half. But I was on Twitch for a while before I ever spoke in a chat ever. And that first chat that I picked kind of segued me to all of my others to this day. But when I chose to be a streamer was just a couple years ago. And I didn't start doing it seriously until a while after that, too. It started off as a, hey, this is kind of fun. I wonder if I can do it kind of thing. And I didn't have any goals or expectations. And then when I finally got the setting in the internet good enough, I made a ton of friends, and I kind of just took it from there. I said I want to do this and make it a little more serious than, hey, I might as well just turn on a camera because I'm already playing games.
Nice.
So that's
So now,
me.
were you a part of this when it was Justin.tv before it fully transitioned to its own standalone, which is Twitch now?
Nope, way after. I didn't even know
Okay.
Justin.tv was a thing until
Ah,
like
okay.
2 years ago, probably.
Oh,
Right
really?
as I started streaming, someone had asked me the same question. I was like, what the hell is Justin.tv?
How funny. Okay, for me, I knew about Twitch. Gosh, what year now? We're in 2018, so back in at least 2013, maybe right before 2013. I was like 2012 is when I learned about Justin.tv, and the first person I ever watched was Man vs. Games. Super bare bones back then, right? Like the display and everything on the screen was super white, and it hurt your eyes, right? It was so basic. There was no dark mode. There was a lot
Better
of these
Twitch
other fillers over
TV.
here. The purple wasn't even that good of a purple. It was just like all white everywhere, and then you had your chat on the side. And Man vs. Games was super entertaining, and I was watching him, play this game, and I was like, man, there's nothing different about this guy than what I could do. Now, granted, that's from a individual talking and entertainment standpoint, not once as time went on, realizing all this behind the scenes stuff that I had no basis in understanding of it, where I figured it out now, but it's taken time to learn those things like the lighting, the audio, the camera, uh, what colors go well with what you're doing. Is that even in consideration? Things along those lines where I didn't know that, but I was intrigued right at Justin.tv. Granted, though, I was I was working towards being from a personal trainer and fitness manager up into being a general manager and running my own gym and everything, because that's what I wanted to do. The reason I went to school was for journalism and broadcasting. So my degree is in media studies, which is a broadcasting oriented degree. And so it's kind of funny that I had this little fighting myself, and then something like Twitch reinvigorated my thought for doing that. At the same time, I was tired of being taken advantage of at my job. When it comes to being an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to spend a minimum 40 hours a week towards your craft, right? I have no problem spending 70 to 80 hours a week doing this stuff. I don't need the motivation of, hey, you have to show up at this time to do your job. right? Other people do, and that's why, working as a W-2 job works very well for them if they never want to be an entrepreneur. Um, but for me, it was like, I get to be my own boss. I'm going to be the one who's hardest on myself, anyways. I don't need some lady or man telling me that I'm not doing good enough, even though I did exactly what they said, and they're mad about something else for the day or the week that their superior told them. And so all of these muddled thoughts is like, you know what? Let's do this. And I was just about to. It was December 2014. I bought my rig that could do gaming and streaming. I could have up as many tabs as I wanted as long as they were loading. I could do all these types of things at once. Super stoked. Then, right as I had left my job, where I was like, you know what, I'm done with this thing. Somebody else goes and messages me and says, hey, I've got a position for you right now, guaranteed salary, guaranteed medical benefits. I need you to do this. And I was just like, and I'd been researching Twitch for years, seeing if it would stay around, seeing if the industry would still be here, right? Because what's the worst thing? What's the worst feeling? You invest all this time and money into something that goes poof, and it's gone. And you had no return on your investment, even if it was just like contacts or something, right? And so I was like, so that delayed me by about 4 months before finally in March 2015 is when I finally took the dive and said, hey, I'm gonna be a streamer.
So that's really cool because I didn't know a lot of that. For as much as we've talked, I had no idea that you had gone into broadcasting, and I didn't know any of that. So that's pretty neat. So I think a lot of people have different reasons for being here. Ultimately, it comes down to the same goal. I think that's kind of what we want to discuss is in a sense priorities. And one thing that's already come up in the chat, and kind of to build off what you were saying as well, General, with maybe not knowing the behind the scenes as much, lighting, audio, so on and so forth, is if someone said in chat, I'd like to stream, but I need some graphic work done and there's some other stuff. But I kind of want to touch on that because that's a very good point, and I'm glad that I saw that. I would argue that if you have not started streaming yet, and this is kind of the difference, right? The climb from beginner to intermediate, or however you want to word it.
Yeah, from ground zero to beginner, and then from beginner into intermediate. Yeah,
right.
I feel you.
Wanting to invest in those things is fantastic. However, if you have not done your first stream yet, I would not even be thinking about graphic work yet, personally. But to a degree, right? Like,
well, it depends. It depends what your specialties already are, right? So my specialty is being in front of the camera.
Right.
That's what I have been honed for. How many? Excuse me. What I've been honed for however many years now, which would be, Jesus, let's date myself here, a decade and a half or so, where I've done different talk shows. Obviously, all these different things are in smaller form, right? Because I was an up and comer, nothing fancy like the Ellen DeGeneres show or anything, but that's where my forte comes into, right? And then understanding balance in life, right? Now that doesn't mean my balance is somebody else's balance, right? I might work out too much compared to how somebody else wants to balance their life out, but understanding how to balance all these different things, especially when other people are coming at you from all these different angles. Something that's important if you're a manager, right? Because you've got all these different employees that will be coming at you saying, well, this is right, well, this is wrong, this person's doing this person's doing that, and you have to sift through all the information. Same thing happens with your own daily and weekly and monthly regimen, is that you have to balance, okay, so what's good here? I haven't seen this friend in 3 months. I should probably make time for them, even though I have a regular meetup with X person every Monday night. But this person's finally available for the first time in 3 months. I'm going to have to take a rain check with the person I regularly see. All these balancing acts you do. So then let's put that towards here. Like you were saying, all this production stuff, that was a lot of learning. And so for me, it was turning on the camera and just seeing what happens, right?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's this whole OBS? What's Expo? Which one should I be choosing? Oh my God, what if I choose the wrong one?
Yeah. So that's a good point, right? Because if you like, for me, I can't. I don't know. I don't know how to Photoshop, or any other for that matter.
I do extremely poorly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, MS Paint with some happy faces and you know, but so I guess that's a good point in that regard. If you can Photoshop and you can do yourself some graphics in, you know, a day or two, good on you, great.
Yeah,
but like,
great.
For me,
they're awesome. Something that would take me a week and a half to 2 weeks and not even come close to the same quality takes someone an hour.
Right. So in comparison, though, you talk about priorities. You know, if I'm on that, you know, intermediate, or you know, I've been doing this a while, kind of, how we wanna level classify it, but I didn't get my panels done until about probably 4 months ago, 5 months ago tops, and I still don't have a logo. I mean, I was using Google Images, which is probably not the best thing if I'm being totally honest. But I didn't have anyone that could do graphics for me. I have a logo being commissioned right now, so I don't even have that yet. And I've been doing this for a little over a year seriously. So yeah, I think, but I still think that's a good point to acknowledge, right? Like whether you can do it or not does change the answer. And yes, everybody is different. There's no doubt. But I would still argue that, you know, assuming you can't get yourself graphics in 30 minutes of your first stream, that maybe you should focus on other things that are more important. With that being said, General, how would you prioritize? So, like, my personal opinion, there's no fact behind this at all. If I was going to prioritize, I would say most important thing is audio. Yes or no? On your end, what do you think?
Okay. Once you started streaming, yes. But right before you start streaming, the most important thing is your internet connection.
True. Okay.
Most important thing is your internet connection. Can you even maintain a multiple hour stream based off of your upload speed? Right? If you have an upload speed of 1, 2, or 3, you are going to have to dumb down your graphics and you're going to lose people. Because think about it, right? Let's say I went to a website and they're going to play me a 30-second advertisement before I can do anything. Unless I absolutely had to be there, boop, I'm gone. But now let's say that same website gave me a 5-second and then I could skip the ad after 5 seconds. You know what? That's just long enough, or just short enough, I should say. I'll stay, right? I'll click that skip ad and here I am, right? So your upload speed really matters, because if you don't have a fluid stream, and again, this is not the best graphics. This isn't where there's mind-blowing visuals. All I'm talking about is that the feed is consistent. It is regular. When you see the person talking, there's not the all that kind of stuff starts to grade on people. Some people have no problem. They're like, you know what, you're beginning, let me help you. But as you're beginning and you're trying to build an actual community and foundation, your internet matters a lot, sadly.
Yeah. So I think,
but then yes, what you said is correct.
So that's a really good point, in a sense of how far you have to break it down, right? I mean, I didn't even think about it until General said it. And it goes to show, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it behind the scenes prior to worrying about things like audio or, you know, your cam or whatever. I mean, think about everything else.
Green screen versus no green screen or whatever. Right?
Sure. Well, look, I still don't have a green screen.
Well, here's a good example. Someone with no green screen and someone with a green screen.
Yeah. So
they still work.
You know, another thing to do prior to worrying about what happens when you click start streaming is establish, you know, what programs you want to use, which ones, you know, you think will work best for you. I don't want to say which one is the best, because that comes down to preference and opinion, but
that's preference. Yep.
Setting up alerts is a big deal. Are you going to attach a PayPal for donations? Things like that should be set up.
Okay. Again, so what you're saying, great. But now let's say we're setting up things. Let's go back to very basic, very simplistic. So first we're talking about internet, right? We need to make
Right.
sure we have internet before we can even really do this whole streaming thing like we want to. And then before we even start thinking about audio, well, to do this stuff, it takes time and it takes our own money to be invested, right? We might set up little tip/donation goals. We might do all these other things, but there's no guarantee that we're going to get that support, especially in the very beginning, because some people pop online, they're on for a month, made $100, and they bounce because they invested very little time and money into it, and they feel like they came up. All right, cool. Thanks for that money, man. I'm out. Some people do that, right? So it's hard when you're like, I want to support this content creator, but are they going to be around? I'm supporting their future coming content, not the fact that they're going to end streaming that exact day. And I spent $50 to help this guy and he's gone forever. Right. So if we're thinking about this, this information, what now matters? So we go with internet. Next, we're talking about security because this is the internet. So if we're going to set things like a PayPal, right, we need to protect ourselves because at some point, depending on what games you're playing, people get bitter, people get jealous, people hate you to hate you. So I'll give a quick example. If anybody peruses my Instagram, it's been about a week, maybe a week and a half, and someone started hating on me because I'm positive.
Which is so ironic.
But so when people say, well, I don't know what I did wrong, you didn't do anything wrong. If someone's going to hate on me for being positive, to me, I laugh at it because it's such a waste of time. Even the fact that I had to read that commentary was a waste of time, right? For both of our ends. So you think about this information and it's like, okay, hold on. I got to be a little bit careful here. I want to be open and trusting, but I also have to consider the fact that some people are bored and some people just aren't good people. But you can't tell, hey, Shadow Master, you're a bad person. I can tell by the 335 at the end of your name. No, you don't know that. So what you do is all these other things to protect your stream and to protect your business, such as like if you're using PayPal and the like.
Right. So, let's kind of delve into that a little bit more.
Okay, go for it.
So let's say the first thing that you do, is set up alerts.
Okay, cool.
I would say, personally, I think alerts are great to have. I think that everyone likes something going off when they follow. I don't know. I don't really know, the mental aspect of why that is so.
Pause. The mental aspect is instant gratification. Go ahead.
There you go. See, this is why I have you here, because you answer
It's
those
just
things.
it's a psyche thing. It's
Yeah.
instant gratification.
Absolutely. With that being said, I don't think that it's needed right away, I will say. I think having your own spin on it, of course, is important. But things like setting up alerts for your first stream,
Right.
if it's going to take you extra time to think, okay, my theme is this and my community is this and I like this, so I want this GIF and this sound file and blah, 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 blah. And finding all those things and getting all those things and establishing it is going to take up some time, but you want to do your first stream. I would argue that the default settings, if you go to, let's say, Streamlabs, because that's what I think most people use. That's what I use.
I would say that's probably the majority.
Yeah. So let's say you go to Streamlabs, you set it up. For anyone that's thinking about streaming and that's why you're here and you don't know this.
Can you copy and paste Streamlabs? Let's see if I've got it.
I can't
Keep
currently,
talking,
but yeah. So Streamlabs has default GIFs and default sound files, and there is nothing wrong with using those. Nothing at all.
No,
I still know people that use the default sound files, and
I
they're
have default stuff still, even though I've done a lot of changes to that.
there. You go. And General is partnered. Like it's that I think that goes beyond the beginner, intermediate, advanced kind of thing, where there's so many other components that are so much more important than, oh God, I I have the default alert, so I can't, it doesn't look as professional. I personally, I don't agree with that. I think as long as you have the alerts, it's not dire. It's not life or death if you don't get your own sound file. Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
So, okay, I can't tell this because I'm not listening to the broadcast. They're saying that my volume in Discord is too low.
Oh, really? Sound fine. I'll turn you up gladly.
I didn't know that because I can't. Otherwise, it's going to be this weird mixture of myself and Luxin talking while I'm already talking to Luxin. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you guys.
Is that?
Thank you, Field Mouse.
That should be good.
Much better. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, bud.
No worry. That's definitely something that we need to know. All right. So I think that when it comes to setting up alerts, knowing how to do it is far more important than thinking about what you want it to be. Like, my follower alert is the Final Fantasy fanfare, whereas my host alert is Tiny Tina from Borderlands 2. I don't really have a theme. I just took sound files I liked.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that for all of you out there.
Exactly. And I've heard them and knew I liked them for alerts, and so I picked them, and I've had them literally since my first day of streaming. I have not changed them.
You haven't changed them any at all?
I've added
the host one. I thought the host one's a little bit different. It's got like your.
I made a raid command now that they have the raid feature,
okay.
which, by the way, I love with a no pun intended fiery passion. But But yeah, there's people that still use the defaults, and there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you know how to set it up, I would say that having it is very, very good to know.
It's important because, like we talked about just a little bit ago, is the fact of, oh, look at that, Range Bacon, awesome guy. Is the reason why you're going to want the alerts is for instant gratification that is a part of any community, no matter what type of business you're running, right? No matter what type of community you want to be a part of, what matters is being able to provide something that takes you a little time. And the only reason it might take you a lot of time because you want to be really thorough and come up with this whole overarching thing. So it probably took me longer than Luxin because I wanted all of my alerts to have some type of similar arcing theme. Right. So I spent more time because I didn't have those images readily available. I had to like, okay, how am I going to piece and put this here and do this? I spent a little bit more time on that because I like to have a presentation because being a, TV personality type performer or whatever, what was always the most important thing that I knew about is like, you have a theme because it flows better. Even if you yourself suck, people will give you a chance because they're like, ooh, this is kind of easy on the eyes. Ooh, okay, I'll give you a little bit more, and those kind of things matter.
Yeah, and
as silly as they sound, those little things add up.
Sure, and I think if you can find your what's the word I'm looking for? If you can find, this GIF or this sound file really, really suits me, and I like this, and I want to use this, that's great. Absolutely, that's great, yeah. Do it.
Correct.
But what I'm getting at is that's not something that should stop you from your first broadcast because those things will come to you in time.
Yep.
I don't think it's one of those things that, you go out and you buy the internet upgrade so that, now I have enough upload to stream. My quality is good. I just bought this new rig and I can run all of the, top games, top quality and stream at the same time. My processor's not dying anymore because my old one was 10 years old, whatever. It doesn't, that's not the point. The point is, if you have done all of those things and then you sit back and you go, oh man, but I don't want default alerts. No one likes those. And then you stall for another few months after you've already invested money just because that's your concern. That should not be a concern. That's what I'm saying. General, do you kind of want to explain? So we were discussing a little bit prior to starting the difference and importance in a business PayPal account. You want to kind of go into that?
So the reason why it's important, and we started talking about just a little bit, and I was talking about security, right? All right. So the reason a business PayPal is extremely important is it protects you, the individual. And what I mean by that, it's not on a legal sense. That means you go from a sole proprietorship to an LLC if you're trying to protect yourself on a legal spectrum. What I'm talking about is protecting yourself on a personal spectrum. So the reason why you want to go with a PayPal that's business versus your personal PayPal is your personal PayPal, they can find you. So I'm going to give an example. For those of you here, you might know about PowerCrunch TV. So PowerCrunch TV, one of my good friends, one of Luxin's good friends, got swatted. Thankfully, the city he lives in was like, you know what? All these claims sound pretty ridiculous. They had said that there was multiple guns being fired off. There was someone getting stabbed. There was a baby on the roof. There was, thankfully, this person or this kid, more than likely, because of the fact that there was not much thought put into the internet inquiries for this supposed attack, that they were smart enough to just send a couple officers over, and not the whole SWAT team, to first investigate before calling in backup. They talked to him, and then he's like, what are you talking about? Right? And so together they were able to come up with a system that will protect him from being swatted, is by talking to said authorities and letting them know that he is a broadcaster, and this will be typical. People will make up stuff. So you might want to send a patrol car first before sending the whole team or squad over to do such a thing. And the way they found him, the only way they found him, his personal PayPal. So, granted though, now let's get a little bit more spectrum here. He plays on GTA and he likes to have fun making fun of people as they like to make fun of him, right? Well, some people are poor losers or sore losers, right? And so what they do? I'm gonna get you back. Granted, myself, I play retro games, so either you like them or you don't like them. I can't beat you in a retro game unless you're here in person. And then if you called the SWAT on me while you're here in person, I would be like, you suck. You suck, Seth. So point being is, you see the different spectrums are that I still went with a business PayPal because I know that in the long run, this is how I'm transitioning things, right? And from a legal paperwork standpoint, you want to start doing those kind of things. But from a protecting yourself security-wise, you do want to go and change it from personal PayPal to business PayPal.
Sure.
It only takes at most a day, at most.
So yes, now you've set up your stream, right? Mm-hmm. You click start streaming. So now going back to what we were saying earlier, audio is very, very important. In the last one, we had someone ask something along the lines of, if I recall properly, something along the lines of, you know, what would you say is more important, a really good microphone or a webcam?
A really good microphone.
I would agree. I would say it's the microphone. Now, that being said, you do not need, if you have not done your first broadcast, hell, if you haven't done your 10th broadcast yet, I would argue that while audio is important, you do not need to go out and spend $200 on a mixer and $300 on a mic.
No, you don't need it.
it's
what I tell people, like what you're saying, right? So that sounds like a big investment. That's $500 roughly that you just said there,
right.
right? So my setup, I've gone in phases, right?
Right.
Because I assumed it was camera, not obviously it's audio, because most of the time, honestly, I have a lot of viewers who will put my stream on, not even look at the screen anymore. Because why? It's the dream stream, and they want to lay down, they relax. For some reason, they find my voice to be soothing when they're trying to go back to sleep while still being slightly entertained. So the audio was the most important, and I didn't know this. And as time's gone on, it made sense why the audio is so much more important. I started with a headset mic. Then from a headset mic, I went to what I thought was the best mic for the market, which was a Blue Yeti, right? And so I went to Blue Yeti, not knowing, based on my studio setup, that a Blue Yeti was not the best for me. So I wanted higher audio quality, and that's where I went. And then, after, thanks to everyone's contributions, and this is after what? I didn't go from so I went from a headset mic for the first 9 months of my streaming, and then for about 6 months, I was at the Blue Yeti. And then ever since then, for the last year and a half almost, I've been with my my Audio Technica, which has an XLR cable, which, thanks to people like Flippy Flam, were able to inform me, actually sends more and higher quality audio specific information from mixer and from microphone to mixer, from mixer to computer.
Which is now what I'm using as well, actually.
Excellent. Cool. Okay. I forgot that you had upgraded.
Yeah, the Audio Technica 2020 is a phenomenal mic.
Do I have the 2020? I think mine's the 2020.
Well, nonetheless, they are great mics. Audio Technica makes great mics. They are super affordable. And but even more to the point of budget, right? So XLR does have some advantages, but it requires, for those of you that don't know, here, let me see if I have an extra cable around here. I do not. I lied. XLR is a microphone specific cable. It's round and it has 3 pins. That being said, you cannot take an XLR mic and plug mic cable and plug it into your computer. Doesn't work that way. So you need an interface, preamp, mixer, whatever. And that's going to cost more money, right?
Yes.
So again, while that has advantages, maybe consider like the Audio Technica 2020 has a USB version. There's a USB Audio Technica 2020. And it's one of the, like, if you go on Amazon and search it, it's like just under $100, and it's got like a 4.7 out of 5 stars or something like that. It's crazy. But it's a phenomenal mic. And that kind of goes into considering things of where are you investing your money? If you, like I said, if you haven't done your first stream, why are you spending $600 on audio? Now, granted, if you can do that, good on you.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
I mean, right on. If you've already got that, cool. Good that you have starting capital.
Right. Now, here's the other thing that I do want to say, and I'm saying this from the fact that I've made this mistake. Someone in chat said Razer Siren for life. So let me tell you a little bit about the Razer Siren for those of you that don't know. I'm not knocking on Razer. I used to have a bunch of Razer products. I had the Razer Siren. Products. And Razer's good, but here's what I will say. Do your research. I did not do my research, and that caused me a very, very, very large headache of a problem. I had the Razer Siren. What I did not know is that the Razer Siren has a driver issue that conflicts with Windows 10. It's had that issue for a long time, and there really is no fix, despite the fact that they would like to tell you you can go to their website and redo drivers and stuff. You go to forums all over the internet, and everyone says the same thing. It does not matter how long you have the microphone for. One day, it may or may not decide that the driver doesn't want to work anymore, and your microphone will never, ever reconnect. Guess what happened to me? I spent $250, and I'm going to say the cost so you guys understand this headache. I spent $250 on the microphone because the Pro version had an XLR connector, but I was using USB. So I had spent $250 on the microphone. You buy the microphone, you cannot get a default shock mount off Amazon. For those of you real quick that don't know what a shock mount is, it's what holds the mic onto the boom arm. Some mics need them, some mics don't. They're different sizes, whatever. The point is, the Razer Siren only fits one shock mount, and that shock mount is made by Razer. Real smart move on their part. Point is, that's another $50, which is absolutely freaking insane. So now that's $300 just for the mic setup. I had to buy the boom arm for $100. I'm now $400 total. I had the mic for 2 years. One day, doesn't recognize my computer anymore. Does not work anymore. I had it for 2 years, no problems. And just like the forum said, up in one day, it said, I don't like it. Well, me and Windows 10, we got in an argument. We don't get along anymore. I don't want to get you involved. I'm sorry. And he said, nope, not having it. And I didn't know that. I'm telling you right now, I loved that microphone when it worked. But had I done the research and seen that, I'd have never bought it. I wouldn't have. So now, you fast forward, long story short, later, I don't have the mic that works. I bought a mixer so that I could plug in the XLR and kind of bypass the driver issue. Then the microphone just died. That microphone won't even turn on anymore. It doesn't get power. So I had to buy another mic anyway. Down the road, when you deal with stuff like that, that's some money. That is some money leaving. So do your research is the point.
Thank you. That's the most important thing on any of these things. So if you've heard what I talked about before I started my Twitch journey, thinking about myself, before I was just a viewer, a consumer of Twitch content. What I did though, before I started, I at times I'm mad at myself because I took so long researching that I could have started streaming sooner. Right. But I'm here today and I do what I do and I love what I do. So everything's fine. But research information, double check with people. Just because one person agrees with you, don't automatically assume that means, yeah, that's the way to go. That's one person out of 7 billion in the world. So just consider, is that enough? Yeah, I feel vindicated to do that. Shit, I'm down $500. Ugh.
Right.
As much as, is my life ruined by missing $500? No. But I still appreciate the fact of either having or knowing I have $500
sure.
available.
Well, and think the other side of this too is think of where that $500 could have gone, right? If you spend $500 just on a mic that stops working for you, and we talk about investing step by step.
Yep.
Let's say so, like for instance, my 2020 with the XLR was a little over $100. So let's say that leaves you with $400. That's $400 you could spend on a mixer, and trust me, you don't need to spend $400 on a mixer. I used to be in a band. We bought a 3-channel mixer for $80, and it was one of the best mixers from one of the top brands. I mean, $80 nice. Compared to $400. You see what I'm saying? You yep. spent that $500, and yeah, maybe it didn't, put you into bankruptcy, but that's another, like I said, $300 to $400 that you could use on higher quality audio equipment should you choose to make that upgrade. So yeah, in the long run, it's not the greatest. But understanding your audio is very important. And I think one thing that people should do that a lot of people don't do, in fact, I'm a little guilty of this too. I always say I want to, and then I never do. But especially if you're newer, don't be afraid to go back and watch your VOD and see how your audio sounds.
Yes.
Oh, I need to adjust this.
Review yourself.
Need to do this. I need to, yeah. I think one thing, and I don't understand this personally. I have no problem if I make some kind of adjustment, like when I got this mic and I set it up and I got the mixer and I set it up and I was playing with some dials. The best thing you can do, because who are you streaming for? Your chat. You have an audience. Ask them. They're the ones listening to you. They're the ones that know what you sound like. They're the ones that know what they want you to sound like. They're the ones that have the answers. Ask them. Some people have a problem with that. I don't know why.
Yes. Okay.
Hit me.
Ask them. At the same time, though, also make sure if you've created some streamer friends, right? Those who also stream, go and get them to come in. They'll be brutally honest with you. Some of your fans love you so dearly. You're fine, honey. Oh, God, he's going to crash and burn. But you're fine. You look beautiful. Oh, God, it's going to hurt. But you know what? Keep doing what you're doing, honey. We like it. Oh, God, I feel so bad for him. There's people like that.
That's true. That's true.
You know, and nothing against them. But what we want are the real facts. So that way we can get those answers and then we can give you the better content.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point.
If you have that resource available, obviously.
Yeah. And that's a pretty common thing too, actually, now that you mention it. I think about some people are afraid to tell you you're dropping frames because they, you know, oh, I don't want to be rude or interrupt their stream or make them feel bad.
Gosh.
Like, no, I need to know if I'm dropping frames because I got to fix it.
Well, and the some people, you know, as like you just said, is that they feel bad. They're telling you what to do. However, I like to, to me, there'll be times where I'm like, hey guys, how do I sound? Everything sound good? And I'm hoping someone speaks up during that time frame because they should feel comfortable because I specifically asked for it. Versus, let's say I've been going for a couple of weeks, couple of months where everything's been fine and I don't ask it. Hopefully someone is going to speak up and say, hey, your audio sounds funny, or hey, your voice isn't matching your camera. Hopefully that's said because what happened? I got lazy and comfortable assuming it was all good all the time.
Right.
And it's a computer. There's no guarantee it's always the same.